It's roughly 11,000 years ago, somewhere in southeastern Anatolia, and your phone alarm does not exist. There is no boss, no calendar app, no Monday morning meeting where someone says, "Let's circle back," and quietly kills a piece of your soul. But you still wake up with a problem. Food does not deliver itself. Fire does not babysit itself. Children still try to eat dangerous berries. So what did ancient humans actually do all day before jobs? The short answer is, they worked, just not in the way you put on a tax form. A job is a modern box. Ancient survival was a messy bundle of skills, chores, rituals, repairs, danger, and the occasional terrible idea that became culture. Start at Göbekli Tepe in Turkey around 9,600 to 8,200 BCA. The ancient world's version of a group project, except the group had no email, and the project involved giant stone pillars. Archaeologists found T-shaped megaliths carved with wild animals, built by hunter-gatherers before full farming took over. That matters because these people were not clocking in at Megalith Construction Incorporated. They were hunting gazelle, collecting plants, hauling stone, sharpening tools, sharing food, watching weather, and probably arguing about whether the fox carving looked better on the left. Practical, social, exhausting. Their free time was not Netflix free time. It might mean repairing a basket while telling a story, dancing near a ritual space, flirting badly, teaching a child how not to get bitten, or staring at the horizon because the horizon was basically the world's first loading screen. Work and life were not separate rooms. They were the same cave, sometimes literally. Now jump to Çatalhöyük, also in modern Turkey, between about 7,400 and 6,200 BCE. A Neolithic settlement that looks like humans discovered home ownership and immediately made it weird. The site has dense mud brick houses, wall paintings, reliefs, platforms, storage areas, and people entering homes through the roof, because apparently front doors were too mainstream. Here, the day became more settled, but not easier. People ground grain, cooked, plastered walls, tended animals, made tools, wove materials, traded obsidian, cared for the sick, buried relatives under house floors, and then continued living above them like, "Grandma is still with us, very under us." This is where no jobs becomes misleading. A woman grinding grain for hours was doing labor. A child carrying fuel was doing labor. A skilled obsidian napper making sharp blades was doing labor. But nobody needed a LinkedIn profile saying stone tool optimization specialist. The community ran on contribution, not job titles. Your value came from what you could do, what you knew, and how reliably you did not ruin the stew. And this is where Hesiod enters the chat much later, around 700 BCE in Greece, writing works and days like the ancient world's productivity influencer. He told people to work hard, respect the seasons, and stop being lazy, which is comforting because humans have been complaining about other humans not working hard enough for almost 3,000 years. Ancient advice, same energy. Then comes Sumer, in southern Mesopotamia, around 3,100 to 3,000 BCE, civilization's paperwork era, when humans looked at labor and said, "This needs a receipt." One of the earliest writing tablets records beer rations for workers, which is historically important and deeply relatable. Here, you can see the shape of jobs beginning to appear. Temples, fields, workshops, canals, administrators, scribes. Suddenly work was not just what your household needed. It was organized by institutions. Did ancient humans get paid in beer? Yes, they did. But before you quit your job and demand your salary in fermented barley, remember, this was not a cozy office perk. Beer rations were food, calories, accounting, and control. Sumerian workers dug canals, moved grain, built walls, transported goods, and depended on temple or palace systems that tracked who got what. The day was becoming more specialized. Some people farmed, some shaped clay, some recorded numbers, some managed labor, and somewhere a scribe invented bureaucracy, proving that every civilization eventually creates at least one person with a clipboard. The cultural shift was huge. Earlier, humans had tasks because life demanded them. In Sumer, tasks became roles, roles became records, and records became power. A worker could now be counted, assigned, supplied, and probably annoyed. That is the beginning of the job world, not the moment humans started working, but the moment work became organized enough to be measured by someone else. Fun fact. The modern 8-hour workday is very recent compared with this deep history. The slogan 8 hours for work, 8 hours for rest, 8 hours for what we will, became famous in the 19th century. Humans spent tens of thousands of years working by hunger, daylight, seasons, and community long before they worked by factory whistles and calendar invites. So what did ancient humans do before jobs? They did everything. They hunted, gathered, cooked, built, repaired, watched, taught, healed, carried, carved, sang, mourned, negotiated, and tried to survive one more night without becoming a cautionary tale. The biggest lesson is that having no job did not mean having no work. It meant work was woven into life so tightly that nobody could point to one part and say, "This is my career." Their days were not empty. They were full of small, necessary actions that kept the group alive. Strip away the office chair, the paycheck, and the password you forgot again, and the question is still the same. What can you do today that helps you and your people make it to tomorrow? If ancient humans could survive without jobs, inboxes, or hour departments, maybe your next bad meeting is survivable too.